Hi, everyone. Welcome to another scientist interview. Today, I have with me Paul Rowley, who I believe is a medical student, uh, unless I'm sorely mistaken. Uh, and we'll just get straight into it. Paul, can you tell us what kind of science you do?
Yes, so I'm a second year medical student at the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health. This is located in Madison, Wisconsin, and it's an allopathic medical school. So at the end of 4 years, I'm going to graduate with a doctor of medicine, MD.
Cool. Awesome. And so I guess we'll skip this question because I think most everybody knows what a doctor does. Hopefully,
Sure.
you would think.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but so, like, what can you tell us a little bit about, like, your kind of day to day activities or, like, what a typical day looks like for you?
Yes. Well, obviously before the pandemic sort of changed everyone's lives and uprooted our routines, I was in clinic every day.
Hmm.
So as a second year medical student in January of 2020, I started on clinical rotations, and you're basically randomly assigned a block that you do for 3 months at a time, and then you change to another rotation. So I was in clinic at family medicine clinic and internal medicine clinic and a neurology clinic 5 days a week. And so I probably worked at these clinics around 8 to 9 hours a day. And then outside of that, I would study probably 3 or 4 hours,
Okay.
some in the morning and some in the evening.
And then I'm going to kind of take one of these questions out of order here a little bit,
Sure.
just to clarify it. Can you talk a little bit about, like, maybe the educational path or, like, what are the steps to get to where you are?
Yeah. So I went to high school and graduated, and then I went to a 4 year university and I studied neuroscience there.
Okay, cool.
Um,
Just out of curiosity, what university did you go to?
I graduated from the University of Wisconsin
Okay,
Madison,
rock and roll.
um, and then after that, I took some time off to do research and volunteer and kind of just have a life. Um,
Fair
And
enough.
then I studied for the MCAT, which is the basically the entrance exam. It's kind of like the ACT or SAT, but for medical school. And applied to medical school, and so I started that in fall of 2018.
Okay, awesome.
So
Um,
yeah,
and then is the first year of medical school pretty similar to the second year? You do rotations.
yeah. So the first year of medical school is kind of like it's a lot like high school or college. You're in class. There's someone lecturing, like a teacher. You're taking notes, and you're doing homework at night.
Hmm.
And so there's really it's pretty similar to the education that you've had thus far. Where it really gets different is when you start in the clinical rotations, and you're basically learning through exposure in the clinic. And so you're in a white coat, you see real patients, you diagnose and recommend treatment. And you work with a real doctor, a physician with experience to ensure that you're on the right track and
And you don't kill anybody
you
accidentally.
are yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And then so like what will you do next? Like, what are the next steps?
Yeah, so like most of life in, as a student, it's kind of full of
Hmm.
tests, and that's kind of how most of my life is going to be the next bit here. So I have a really big board exam called the USMLE. It's basically a test that allows me to it's kind of like an SAT but for residency, which is the step that comes after you become a doctor. And so that's, everyone who graduates from medical school is a doctor, but then you got to specialize for residency training. So that could be anesthesiology or family medicine or general surgery or something. And so I'm going to be studying for that test and continue to do clinical rotations.
Okay.
And Same thing for about 2 years. And
Okay.
so then I have a residency, and that can range anywhere from 3 years to 7 years if you want to become a neurosurgeon. Um, and then after that, there's even more tests. There's two. There's step three, and then if you want to get even further training, you can get a fellowship. So that's once you've become, I don't know, a radiologist or a pathologist, you can specialize in something like, neuroradiology or derm path or something like that. And so you can get as granular as you want.
Cool. So just do you mind if I kind of sum up what you said and make sure
Yeah.
we're all on the same track? Awesome. So it sounds to me like if you want to become a doctor, you go to high school, you go to college, do something biology related would probably be wise.
Yeah, I mean, it's helpful, but in fact, you can really distinguish yourself by branching out. At the end of the day, though, you have to take certain classes
Mhm.
like biology, chemistry, physics, organic chemistry, a whole host of other classes just to be able to apply.
Okay.
So,
So if
but
you
but but on the flip side, if you are really interested in it, you can actually distinguish yourself by studying something else. And I think actually increasingly medical school admission boards are looking for people with diverse exposure.
oh interesting.
Yeah.
So
And
you could
so,
major in whatever you wanted, but as long as you
yeah,
took all those prerequisite classes, you could still get into medical school anyways.
absolutely.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Um, and then so then you in the beginning of medical school, it's more like just like regular college classes. You go to class, you take tests, you study,
Yeah.
and then you do. So right now you're working with all kinds of different doctors. So you work with like one doctor for a few months, and then switch to another specialty,
Yep.
and then eventually you pick your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Pretty much.
Okay, cool. Um, so are there? Can you tell us what do you like about what you're doing right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, uh, it's incredibly interesting. Bottom line is you're always learning something and you're always challenged. Um, it's really emotionally satisfying too because you get to you get to work really hard and apply things that you know to help people, and that is really satisfying. I think that for a lot of people throughout their education, they'll feel like I'm just memorizing stuff and regurgitating on tests, and for some people it's really satisfying to get the A on the test, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's even more so, I think, when you get to use what you know to help people. It's like anything else. So that for me has been the most satisfying part, is to finally get to seeing patients and
Like do
helping them
something.
even just a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I could I could totally empathize with you. And then are
Yeah.
there some things that are challenging about what you do?
Certainly. Yeah. So compared to most people who graduate from college who get a job, um, as a medical student, you're not making any money. And so you'll have friends who are going to college and they graduate and they get their jobs and are able to sort of advance in their life in certain ways. They can start saving money or paying down debts or, thinking about the future in a different way. And that's certainly a challenging part of medical school because you have to sort of put everything else on pause so you can invest in your education. At the
Mhm.
same time, I don't know anyone of my classmates who give up their education to be able to save money right now, because the education is just worth the experience. So that's one sort of pill to swallow, no pun intended, with going to med school. That's hard. The other thing is you have to be willing to sacrifice a lot. I don't really have a life outside of school. Some people do. Some people can manage it, but if you're the type of person who really needs tons of free time, it's not like the easiest life choice. You have to be willing to say no to a lot of social obligations. You can't really plan for vacations because the school decides when you get time off,
Mhm.
and you're kind of their property for 4 years. So um, it's a fairly intense education, but uh, I think it's probably a good thing.
Yeah,
So
no, yeah. We want our doctors to be competent.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's kind of like the people fixing airplanes. Like you don't want them sort of having an easy pass if you're
Yeah,
riding the plane.
exactly. Yeah.
So I don't think it's any different.
Yeah.
So
Don't want them sleeping on the job.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay, and then here's my last question for you is do you have any advice if you were like what would you say to a high schooler who tells you, "Hey, I'm thinking of becoming a doctor someday"?
So the first advice I would say is make sure the decision is your own. There's a lot of people who are influenced to become doctors because of family pressure or because of, I don't know, perceptions about medicine that you'll become rich or respect or these kinds of things. And I think you just got to make sure that you're going into it for the right reasons. Um, I would say get early exposure if you can. Um, if you can volunteer at a clinic of any kind, get into some kind of medical research, um, or just like read about stuff you find interesting and think about why does this appeal to me. I really would encourage you to sort of reflect on those experiences. Um, and be flexible, be willing to change your mind too if it's not exactly the right choice. I also would say is if you have decided it's the right choice and you're going along the path and say you don't get all A's, don't be discouraged because if you just keep on working hard with some luck, it will work out. And that's I think that's really important because it's a long, rigorous path, but it's well worth it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
We really appreciate your time. Um, anything else you want to
absolutely.
say for
Well,
you?
I'm just want to say good luck with making the decision. If anyone watching this video wants to go into medicine, please feel free to contact me through your teacher. So
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, guys, if you have any questions, send them to me, and I'll be happy to forward them to the future Dr. Rowley. Uh, thank you much, and good luck in medical school, man. Good luck with this whole coronavirus crisis, too.
thank you. Yeah,
May
we're
the
all in
force
this
be with you.
together.
Yeah, real
Yeah.
talk. All right, sounds good. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Like,